But, bless their little tin hearts, they do go wrong sometimes, as well you know. And if you're anything like me, you probably feel like taking a quiet sledgehammer to it and ending its days. No need to, though, because whatever goes wrong with a car can be put right, even with valves. And it's valves that Tony Bastable is going to talk about this week. So, here's Tony.
When talking about valves, it seems like quite a good idea to remind ourselves of the sort of jobs valves do and the conditions they work under. Remember, the petrol and air mixture comes into the engine through the inlet there and is introduced into the combustion chamber, where, on burning, it forces the piston down and drives the motor. That mixture is let in here by the inlet valve and exhausted there by the exhaust valve, and the action of those valves is exactly the same as a domestic water tap being turned on and off very quickly indeed. Let's see this in operation in a real engine. First, it happens fast, very fast. The engine's working at maybe 6,000 revolutions per minute. That's 100 turns every second. And every turn of the crankshaft means the piston makes a trip up the cylinder and down again. It's reaching speeds of 50 feet per second, and there are enormous forces of acceleration. With the rocker cover removed, you can see the same's true of the valves. They only have to work half as fast, but 50 open and shuts a second means that all the valve gear at the top operates just in a blur. And valves aren't only working in a blur, they're also working in conditions of extreme heat. The temperature inside that lock can reach 700 degrees centigrade, which is well above the melting point of ordinary metals. There's also the pressure consideration to take into account as well. You can have pressures in there of up to half a ton per square inch, so the valves are working practically at mechanical limits. There we are then. The automobile valve must be looked at as a sort of tap, opening and snapping shut, letting the gas in and quickly letting it out again, at very high speeds in conditions of extreme heat. Anything that worked under those conditions would inevitably get worn. This is what a worn valve looks like. You can see it started to burn away there. It's getting all black. What in fact has happened is that the extreme heat has worked on it just like a blacksmith working on a horseshoe. It's begun to round off this edge here, and this edge is very important because it makes an important gas-tight seal up in the cylinder head. When that happens, you start to get backfires, blowbacks, loss of performance, loss of power. In extreme cases, you can even come up with a valve that looks like that. You can see that there's a great lump that's actually broken off that one. This valve, in the trade term, is now completely guttered. Well, the only thing to do, I'm afraid, is simply to replace the valves. Pension the old ones off. They've worked very hard, they've done their job very well indeed, but their time has now come. It's not an easy job, even if you're a do-it-yourself fiend with a very well-equipped workshop, but it is important because a new set of valves will, without question, put new heart into that engine.